Hi, welcome everybody. Brian Grief here, Director of Education for Z1 Concept North America. Well, welcome to episode 8 of our wonderful roundtable discussions. And we're, as ever, excited today. We have another great panel of wonderful stylists and salon owners in our midst today who are going to be sharing their views on what will surely be a very, very interesting topic, which my colleague will be introducing in a few seconds. So first of all, thank you to everybody for being here, and thank you for everybody out there watching. So without further ado, let me pass it over to my my co-partner in all of this fun and games, and he's always a great person to have around. So everybody, big shout out to the fabulous Gerard Caruso. Hey, Gerard.
Hello, everybody. Exciting, exciting. And I think that today's topic is even more exciting. But most importantly, I'm amazed by the people I surround myself with. And it's this panel of hairstylists, educators, salon owners. It's amazing that so many minds, sometimes that think alike or doesn't think alike, can join together and have a topic or discussion about something, something that's really, really important. My name to everybody is Gerard Caruso. I am the creative director for Z1 Concept USA. And I am proud to be surrounded by a panel of fantastic, wonderful stylists and salon owners. So I'm going to go around and get to know everybody really, really quick. For those of you who don't know this panel, we'll start off with Desiree. Desiree, why don't you introduce yourself?
All right. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. My name is Desiree Goddard, and I am the owner of DG Studio. We're in Washington State, and I am full-time behind the chair as well as an educator for MRK Beauty and Z1 Concept. So thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Des. Welcome. Who are you going to next then, Gerard? Who are we going to call?
Let's go right over to Amy then.
Amy.
Hi, guys. My name's Amy Johnson, and I'm in Ohio. Go Buckeyes. And I've been a hairdresser for almost 30 years now, and an educator, and my mom is the actual owner of the salon, so it's been family run for quite a while. This has been pretty hard on not just her but everybody, so that's why I'm here, to see what I can get out of you guys and help us out.
Awesome.
Right.
Awesome. Let's go down to Shay. Oh, let's unmute Shay there.
There you go. Oh,
there you go,
Hey,
Shay.
everybody.
hey, there she is.
Hey, everybody. I'm Shay Blake. I am in the northern, eastern part of Ohio. I have been a stylist for over 15 years now. I've been a facilitator for Z1 Concept for going on several years now. And just excited to get back into the salon and ready to really get back with our clients and making them feel good and looking good. So I can't wait for this panel discussion so we could talk about our soft openings.
All right, great, great. Raina, how are you doing over there?
Hi, Gerard. I'm doing really good. Thank you for having me today to sit and chit chat with you guys about some different topics. I own Relish Hair Salon in Albany, New York, and I've been an educator with Z1 Concept now for about a year. And I'm looking forward to getting some different insight during this panel discussion, and just really happy to be here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Raina.
Welcome, Raina.
And Julie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Julie Whaling. I have been a stylist for 22 years, and I've owned my salon Late Night Hair for 14 years this summer. And I'm also an educator with Z1 Concept for 3 years now. So thanks for having me.
Good.
Thanks for
Welcome.
joining us.
Welcome,
And
Julie.
last but definitely not least, we have Brandy down here.
Hi guys, I'm Brandy. I'm from the other end of Illinois. I've been behind the chair for 10 years, and I am an education facilitator for Z1 and PSC. It's nice to see everybody.
Cool. All right. Well, Gerard, we've got a jolly bunch here, so let's get straight on with it. Come on.
We do a full female panel. I think this is going to be really, really good.
Oh.
You know, it's funny because we've talked about everything on these roundtable discussions. I'm sure that a few of you, if not all of you, have been following them and watching them. And all of you stylists that are out there, we've gotten really great feedback on them, Brian. And we've touched every topic from, what we were doing when we were planning to open our business, how did the COVID-19 affect our businesses, and so many more to come. But I think this is a really, really, really great topic to discuss, and especially with this panel, because it's something that has been being discussed on many different social media handles. I've been getting texts from many different stylists around, and I think that the consideration as we're winding down to hopefully open up very soon. I know that Georgia was scheduled to open up within the next 48 hours, 24 hours, and that might change even because now they're suggesting that they don't. But the topic that we seem to find out there that a lot of people want to have questions on, or answers for, I should say, is whether or not to raise their prices once they return. And how do we adapt to that in that aspect? How does this come into play? And then we'll come back and probably summarize it up is what is the approach we're going to take and why we would even consider doing that. Let's start it off. I'm going to pass it right down to Shay and just get her insight on it. Shay was just looking at me like, don't pass it to me first. But
there you go.
it's always good. The early bird gets the worm, Shay. So let's pass it down to Shay. Shay, I'm just curious of your insight on it, what you think about it. Is it something that you have thought about doing, raise or not raise the prices?
Well, I would like to say I definitely have struggled with the thought of raising the prices because we're all in this together, and with the clients or our guests being off work as well, we have to consider the demographic of our clientele.
Right.
For my salon, I'm fortunately in a small studio, so I have really considered just having maybe different packages for the clients as they come in for the prices that will be raised. As you might say, maybe like a stimulus hair package. We know that conditioners are going to be needed. So that's going to be an automatic add-on to their service. And with the welcome back letter I plan on sending out, I will inform them that that conditioning service will be given to them on their first service back. As far as raising all prices, I know that that's going to be pretty difficult going right into it. But I feel like, especially in my salon, that we have to take in consideration all the PPE material that we'll now be bringing into the salon that's disposable, which will cause us to spend more money on our revenue every month or every week, just depending on how we do our orders. So for me, it's definitely a go. Just trying to figure out where the price point will lie in my demographic as far as my salon goes.
That's good.
Oh,
Really good points that
good,
you brought up. I think, Brian, that she hit some other topics that we could probably, feed off of or go on because, like you did say, there's possibly going to be an extra cost for some salon owners. But I think too, and when I get back over to me, but I want to go over to Desiree in a minute, is basically how we could avoid some of those costs. Because sometimes right now, we're being fed into a lot. Do you know what I mean? We're being fed in about prepare. And there are ways to prepare which could possibly not create an added cost. Desiree, what's your insight about raising prices or not raising prices?
Oh, it's so hard, especially with being a salon owner, not just a stylist, wondering what the decision is going to be made for them already. Our salon, we have 10 of us here. So when we come back, we not only are going to have to be very cautious with how many of us are in here at one time. I do love the idea of doing an additional package or something for the clients to come back in, but where I'm at, I don't think we're going to have the time for that. We're going to have to schedule accordingly to be able to get all 10 of my stylists guests in the chair, and we may not have the time to add those services on. So the other thing that makes it really difficult to make the decision is we're 10 minutes from the border of Idaho, and Idaho is on a completely different level than any other state is. I don't know if you guys have been following that at all. So that's been a challenge for Washington in general, is being so close to the border. This side of the state, they're not anywhere near where we are. So personally, I don't think I will be raising any prices in the salon. I take a lot of pride in being a salon owner in the way that I do things here. I have been doing retail while we've been closed, doing curbside pickup, and it's been so helpful, and it's probably been the best thing I could have done for all of my people here, because that's what's going to be able to allow us to keep our prices the same for our guests who are coming in who have been regulars of ours for a long time. I would hate to throw that on them and say, hey, you know what, like this is what's happening to us, and so in return I need to do this to you. Not in a negative way, just that's what we have to do sometimes. But for right now, when we come back open, we won't be changing our prices at all. I'll be doing other things to make sure that those, precautions are being taken care of and the extra stuff is being provided and things like that. And that's just me personally. I can't speak for everybody in Washington, but one other thing that we're gonna do myself, and it's not mandatory, but I'm asking all of my people to take the free Barbicide class and get their certification, just so that's one more certificate up on the wall that allows our clients to see that we're doing what we need to do. Even though we know those rules, we follow the rules, our salon's very clean. We have washing services here, so we don't have to reuse capes and towels and things like that. But just seeing that piece of paper, I think, will give people a little bit more relief when they come back in. So that's one thing we will be doing. But for myself, I won't be raising prices.
Okay, well, good.
I think, there's something that you touched on, and I want to give a shout out to that, which you're absolutely right, Desiree. Barbicide.com has offered that free course for all stylists to go to and take the certification. And let's face the fact, it's all about disinfecting and sanitizing your salon and being prepared. But that little certificate that you do receive at the end of the course is something that you can publicize to let your stylist know that this is available. Everybody go in and take the course. We can let our guests know what we are doing, because the safety of our guests are the most important. Right. I'm a salon owner, just like all of you who work in a salon as well. My staff runs it for me so that I can do what I do for Z1. But I do think that basically what I'm trying to say is I'm on the fence with the price ranging. Do you raise them? Do you not raise them? To your point, Desiree, and to Shay's point, there's costs involved, and I want to go through that probably on our second round, because I want to get everybody else's feedback on that, on how some of those costs could be absorbed, and how I think, as an owner and as a creative director for a company, how I feel that some of these costs are being taken advantage of on our end, that people are now, reaching out for certain things that we should have been doing all along. And we'll talk about that. Let's go down to Brandy. Brandy, what is your take on the raising prices or not raising prices?
I am like you. I am on the fence. I live in a rural area, and a lot of the factories and the businesses in this area have been hit very, very hard. So I don't want to give that added extra burden when people do come back to see me, because I want them to know I'm welcome. They're welcome, and I want them to know I do appreciate them. But in the same sense, I also know that there is going to be added services and extra product being used in every service I do.
Absolutely.
So at some point, I think I'm going to have the candid discussion of, yes, your service is a little more expensive because I'm using 3 ounces instead of 1 or 2 that we would do, but making sure that they also understand that it is, this is a one-time cost. We'll get you back on track, and then things will go back to normal.
Right. Good point. Good point. Julie, your take on that?
I am also on the fence. I kind of agree with what Brandy and Shay said earlier too, that you got to kind of consider your demographic. I know that a lot of my clientele consists of office workers, office management people, and they are working from home. So a lot of them haven't lost their jobs, or they are essential workers. So I know that they're still home getting paychecks, and they're not getting financially hit as hard as some areas are. But at the same time, I don't know that I really want to do that to them, because they are going to have added costs for extra color. Everybody's going to need Their roots are going to be triple what they normally are. Their colors are all going to have to be refreshed. Everybody's highlights are going to be completely grown out and need twice as much work, and they're going to be upcharged for that. And I know I've seen on some hairstylist forums, people have been asking, do I even charge for extra product when they come back? When I'm like, well, I personally think that, yeah, you should. I mean, even if you're not going to raise your prices, you definitely need to make sure that you're taking a little extra time and you have extra product that you're charging for that little bit more time and that little bit more product. It's not a retouch service anymore.
True, true. Raina, what about you? Raina.
So I have been talking to my marketing people, and we've been discussing strategies, how to sort of roll out the whole soft opening situation. And I think that I've decided that I'm going to do possibly like a two-sided voucher or a perforated voucher, because you're not going to be able to hit everything in one service. So I actually think for my existing clientele, I'm probably going to do a discounted package for them where they can see the value that they're getting in savings in order to get them back on track. So, but the appointments are going to be scheduled out, you know, much closer than what they would be for like a regular retouch service. I've also considered, and this was something that I considered last year, but timing is everything. I'm thinking maybe going forward, doing like maybe a style club, even where they pay like a weekly situation so that they can sort of get caught up. My demographic of people, I think I'm sort of like Julie. I have, you know, people who have high profile jobs and are paying, you know, some of them are getting unemployment now, so it's a fraction of what they're used to bringing home. They're hit pretty hard. They've got, you know, exorbitant mortgages to pay, car payments, things of that nature. So I think I want to, like I said, discount my existing clients and then sort of dole out my upcharge as we move, you know, further into the end of the COVID situation.
Right.
Something so that it benefits all of us, them and our salon as well, and sort of like build up a solidarity, saying that, okay, yes, I've been hit. You know, my staff has been hit, but I realize that you guys have as well. So I'm going to kind of try to just slowly, you know, move you in. So I think eventually I will, but right off the bat, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
And last but not least, Amy.
Amy,
you said that you and your mom own the salon together, or your mom has it. So have the two of you discussed what is going to come when the day comes that you reopen, about raising prices or not?
We have actually, as everybody else, we're a little bit on the fence. But in Ohio, Shay and I understand that we're not going back for a while. I mean, we're going in the whole phase thing, and they've pretty much made it clear that we're not going to go back until the second phase. So being that said, it's going to be a little bit longer, and our clients are massively collecting of their appointments, which means we're going to have to be working more hours to kind of catch up on that back end of all of our clients that we're already there in March, and now they're in, you know, April and into May. So once we do go back, which I don't predict until at least mid-May, maybe even closer to June. So with all that said, we're also, when we get back, we're not going to be able to have double bookings, because they're going on to shut it down of how many people you can have. So again, that being said too, we're losing money that way. So we're, just like Shay said, we're going to have, you know, more disinfectant stuff, more masks, more everything. And, you know, as Julie and the rest have said too, with on top of 3 inches of regrowth of color. So to answer the question straightforward, are we raising prices? I'm a little closer to the answer of yes, but very minimally, just because we're going to be working our butts off to get these people in, and it's kind of like a demand thing. to where not only are we going to be under demand to have people come in for us to do their hair, but we're going to also be like having other people like cleaning up after everybody. So I may have to hire somebody else to come in to help. I don't know that yet. So there's a lot of factors. We are definitely thinking, because we were going to do it anyways before all this. So I don't know. We haven't a concrete answer to that, but we are definitely thinking more to do a small increase.
Right.
Cool. Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. Oh, sorry, Gerard.
No, go right ahead, Brian.
No, just I was a little interject because I don't do so much chit-chatting on this, but very interested in the variation and answers there across the board, which is, I guess, what we would kind of think it would happen. But I think I'll drop back in maybe as we move on, because I think it's important that we get all your viewpoints. So, but thank you. That was a good cross section. That'll give everybody a lot to think about. So back to you, Gerard.
So, I mean, I want to touch on a couple of points here, because I think that each and every one of you brought up a good point. And it's, starting with Shay, when Shay mentioned earlier, there are going to be added costs, okay? Which I agree. There will be added costs in certain things. What I have a problem with, and I'll give you an example, the word disposable, okay, has been utilized a lot in our industry now, that everything that we're going to be touching or using or possibly implementing will be disposable. And it's become a way for people to make money off of the beauty industry as well. I know that I was on a couple of forums and a couple of chats and webinars, and was asked my opinion on some things. And one personal thing that came up was, let's talk about disposable cutting capes. Are we going to start purchasing disposable cutting cape? Well, yes, I agree. And I'm a salon owner too. The girls are running it for me, so I'm not really there all the time, but they pass things through me. I am in 100% agreement. And then by a show of hands, I just want to hear from everybody else, that there will be a new cape on every client every time the service is completed. New, fresh cape, correct?
Show of hands.
Show of hands. Awesome. Do they have to be disposable? No. If you have a supply of cutting capes in there, you can provide a new cutting cape. Unless that becomes a mandate from State Board of Cosmetology, because I think State Board of Cosmetology hasn't voiced strongly their opinion yet, but they will. And they will put implements and mandates that we are going to have to do. But you don't want to lower the standards of your salon as well. I know that in our case, and I see that Desiree's, shaking her head. Yeah, you don't want to lower the standards. We utilize cloth cutting capes. They are embroidered with our logo on it, and we upped the amount of cutting capes that we presently had. We ordered more, which we would use anyway. So we will be replacing the cutting capes on everybody. And then another thing, and then I want to get everybody's opinion on it, was I noticed that Easy Dry is a new disposable towel to be utilized, just like PST. Remember the PPTs or PST towels? We used to use them when we were in all beauty school. We used to block the perms with them. People are talking about utilizing them, and that's going to be an added cost too, okay? But I think, Desiree, you mentioned it about a towel service or a cleaning service. I think you mentioned that, right? But if you're utilizing your towels and you're laundering your towels, okay, yes. What we have to do is let our guests know that we are using something new, clean, and fresh on every guest. So that can absorb some costs there. Your take on that, Desiree?
Well, we have a washer and dryer here in the salon. So we already practice using one cape per client anyways. So perfect. I make sure that I supply enough capes for if everybody was working at one time, we have enough per guest, and we run our washer all day long. So we know right now that if we're washing our hands and we're using hand sanitizer, they tell us immediately to wash our clothes if we go in public. From that, we have the knowledge knowing that if you wash something, it helps kill the virus. So for me, I personally will not be using one-time use capes or towels or anything like that. I think that would be a waste of money for myself. We'll just make sure that we have extra towels, extra capes, and washing the laundry as much as we need to. if we have to use hot water, we use hot water. And the great thing about salon towels and capes is they can't get bleached out. We know that from using lightener on our client. So if you feel that you want to take extra precautions and use bleach with your wash, then use bleach with your wash. Those are the things that I'll be doing, is making sure we have extra bleach and barbicide and things like that here, and almost overdoing it.
Right.
We already practiced that. So, and I did talk with MRK too, and that was my suggestion, to make sure that they are stocked up on capes and having them available for us to purchase, so we know that we have more than enough for one-time use only.
Perfect.
Good.
Good
Good
question.
job.
Here's a question. I'm going to throw it out to Amy. We talked about capes and replacing them and doing all that. I know that with that barbicide course that everybody's talking about, yes, there's added costs on there. So there's added costs because now you're buying disinfectant and cleansing and Clorox wipes, Ship Shape, and all of that. So when that came up on a seminar that I was in, my response to everybody was, well, weren't you presently doing that? Shay, I see you're laughing. Amy, Shay, one of you.
Well, Amy's
That's
like,
one of my biggest questions, Amy, that we constantly are talking about, even with like my other stylist friends. And like, why are these people not on this anyways? I mean, in Ohio, I'm certain that it's probably across the whole country, but you have to use this stuff. You have to use a different cape every time a client comes in, on the client, then into the wash. I mean, that's just the way we do it anyways. But
Right.
to utilize, even masks, we have to wear masks. They're making them now. You can wash those. It doesn't have to be disposable. Everything doesn't have to be disposable. So yeah.
But on that note, Amy, I don't mean to cut you off, but on that note too, and it is true. Now there's an added cost. Yes, masks. Okay, masks and probably more gloves. We're going to possibly all need them, because let's face the facts, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, every stylist that is watching this, it is going to be mandated, at least once you open, we will start wearing masks and wearing gloves. So get in the practice of cutting and coloring with a mask and cutting with gloves. And here's the funny thing that a lot of stylists said to me. Oh, it's going to be so hard. I don't know if I can get used to cutting with gloves on. I'm like, well, barbers have been doing that for the longest time now. They've already been doing that. And that was basically the reason why they did that. They were telling me is because so they didn't get hair splinters. And that's why they utilize them. So there's a cost there, which depending on how much we purchase them for, could be minimal or could be, a substantial amount for us to pay for. But I want to throw another topic out real quick and maybe pass it over to Rena or Brandy and get your input on this. I just surprised Rena, by the way. She went, what? But we have to realize, okay, let's realize one thing. Over 26 million North Americans have been furloughed and put on unemployment. It's not just hairdressers. It's our guests too. They have been furloughed or they have been put on unemployment, meaning that yes, their income now has been lessened for a majority of them. I have a lot of influential clients that come into my salon. The majority of them have been put on unemployment, which means their income now has been lessened. And yes, they will get back to it. They are suffering a burden just as much as we are. What is our take on how are they going to feel if they know that the words price increase or we raising our prices because of this situation? Wouldn't that affect Brandy? What's your opinion on that?
Brandy, okay.
That's something that really hits home for me, especially because we are in a very blue collar middle class area, and it has shut down a lot of businesses that my clients work at. I have school teachers and athletic directors and just standard working class families, and they're all being hit hard by this. So I don't necessarily want to say price increase when I talk to them, but I will maybe go into, instead of doing a full highlight, because that is a higher cost point for you, let's do a partial just to, cover that area around your face. And we're gonna have to work with them. But you also have to charge them for the cost of product. And it's a gray area, how do you have these conversations with them? I'm not necessarily raising my price, but I need to recoup the cost of what I'm using.
Right, right. And I
Right.
think that that's a good point. Rena, your opinion on that?
So I touched a little bit on that initially, and I do feel that I feel that, you know, initially we can't just hit people with, hey, you know, we've increased our prices. So what I said was I'm trying to work out a situation where, like Brandy said, we can sort of, you know, take care of the initial service and, you know, help them feel back to some sort of normal, but it's going to take more than one appointment to really get you back to where you were previously. And I feel like breaking the appointments up is going to help price wise, so we can incorporate what we need into our initial price, but it doesn't hurt so bad because you'll be able to do it over a few appointments.
Right.
So I really don't think I can really say to my clients who I know have been hit really hard, or as you were discussing, they're on unemployment. They're, you know, they're $4,000 a month or better that they've been making has been cut in half. So I understand, and I want to make sure that they know that I understand. And again, trying to stand in solidarity with my guests who have basically taken care of my life for these past 25 years, that I get it. So let's do it together. Let's get you beautiful, and you know, let's help each other through this time, because we're all in the same boat. I think that's the most important part for when we open up, for myself and my business.
Cool. Okay. So,
You know, Brian, here's another thing too, when we were thinking about this and we were talking about this topic and discussing this topic, you know, and it goes back to, let's go back, say a few weeks, when every hairdresser was across the board, how much their clients love them. They thanked their clients. Everybody was doing the curbside pickup for the retail. We were actually mailing out retail. We kept our retail business going. And there were other avenues. And then we started hearing, not so much on the media, which don't get me started on that, that's another topic. But we've been hearing about the outpour from us, the connection that we have to other hairdressers, on how our guests have been sending checks in the mail, purchasing gift cards to our businesses. Has that happened to anybody? Okay, so now here's a question I'm going to have, and then I'm going to bring this over to Shay and Julie. Here's a question I have. So now, and we'll start with Julie. We'll start with Julie, Brian, so you know how to mute. So here's the question that I do have is that, all right, we've definitely seen some pour of humanity and love from our guests. Some have been purchasing gift cards, correct, to our business. How do you now increase that client or guest that comes in who basically prepaid for her appointment already? What do we say? Oh, thank you for supporting me when we were closed, but by the way, I have to add another $20 onto your service. It's a very touchy situation here. What's your thoughts on that, Julie? Oh, 1 minute, we got on, there you go.
Fighting over.
So far, the people I've had have either sent money and prepaid, like a large lump sum that I've put on account, or they did a gift voucher online, but usually it was for like $100 or, you know, $150. It's not for a specific service necessarily. So I don't know that for me that would hurt, you know, it would affect that much. But at the same time, I feel like if somebody was willing to prepay your services a month ago, I mean, I feel like I wouldn't increase it on them, because I mean, they were helping you out. Right. I don't know. I just don't think it would be right to right away for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Anyways.
Shay. A girl Shay over there.
She's been waiting.
I've been watching you, Shay. Every time we were talking, you kept going like this.
I had it. So basically, I love everyone's feedback and their opinion about the price increase. And I don't like calling it a price increase because
Amen. Let me applaud you on that.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So when I agree that it should be a price increase, I'm pretty sure, like we all said, is certain clients and certain things. And the clients who have supported me throughout this transition, I commend them. I'm so happy they did. Like I said, just offering a package that I know that they're going to need. Offering that package because that package is probably going to be more than what they originally were going to make the appointment for. Say they were just going to make an appointment for, I know I don't have a lot of money, so I just want a partial highlight and I just want this. That's fine. You want a partial highlight. I'm still going to include that price of that conditioner into that partial so that they understand I'm doing this to save the integrity of your hair versus like that they're getting something more than what I'm getting. I want them to feel like they're getting a better deal versus I'm just trying to, get money from them because I appreciate their support. It's just we're all out here. We have to work smarter and not harder.
Harder, right.
Understanding that, and our clients understand that. They understand that they've gone, X amount of weeks without a retouch. So they understand that. And because they respect me as a stylist, I think they will respect that I'm only doing this for the betterment of them, not just the betterment of myself.
Well, and here's a thing too, and we could all kind of, jump in different times and talk about this too. Here's a definite situation, which I brought off before. Let's think about this for a minute. Our guests have been out. We're going on 2 months personally that we've been closed. All right. That's 2 months of regrowth. Okay. Those who have not touched their hair at home. Now, here's what I've always said to the young ladies and the stylists and the artistic team that we have in our salon is that every head of hair that walks through the front doors of your salon is corrective color, unless they walk in with virgin hair from scalp to ends, which is very few and far, unless they're 5 to 10 years old. But every head of hair that walks through the doors of your salon is corrective color. So now we will be doing a lot of corrective color work, which is always priced accordingly anyway. Okay, so there's never a set price on that. We will be doing a lot of that. The other thing that we have to keep in mind, 2 months of regrowth is a lot of regrowth. You're dealing with a cold shaft. And that's corrective work right then and there because you apply the color differently there than you would on the scalp area versus what you did with the ends, because now you're dealing with the regrowth area, the cold shaft, which is that section, the mid-shaft, cold shaft, however you want to call it, which is that section of hair between the scalp area to the ends in between there. And you're now considering the ends. So we all know that there's going to be added costs in that aspect. It's an underlying commitment that we all know is there, that never really is discussed, which sometimes as stylists we should discuss. This is what we have to do now to get you back to where you're going, and this is what the cost is going to be. Everybody's always afraid to talk about dollar. But here's my other point. The other point is what about our guests that are blondes? All right, it's always more work when it comes to the blondes than it comes to a redhead or a brunette, right? So the blondes that we've been doing the micro highlights and then toning and then doing a color breaker or breaking the base or doing a touch-up, right? Now they have 2 to 3 months of regrowth before we see them, okay? It's a totally different avenue there, all right? It's a totally different avenue because there are costs involved that are going to take you to do that. I'm not telling stylists to absorb the extra cost because we never did that before when a client missed 3 months. And we had those clients, all right? Are we all in agreement that we've had those clients that missed a couple of months before they came in? So there are going to be added costs. I'm with Shay and I'm with Raina on this and the rest of you that are talking about we have to learn how to use the right verbiage when we talk about any type of increase, okay? I heard a stylist say the other day on a webinar, well, we have to add COVID-19 tax.
Right.
I would shame anybody who mentions it as a COVID-19 tax. And they were referring to when the gas prices went up and our landscapers charged us extra because there was a gas tax on there. It's not the same thing, everybody. We have to be sympathetic. We have to be soothing and comforting. We've always been that way to our guests, right? We've always been that way. So we have to continue that. So my point is for everybody, I'd like to get everybody's opinion is we're creative people, aren't we? There are creative ways to implement that, which are still being sympathetic to what everybody's been. So to turn around and say every stylist should raise their prices when they go back, that's where I have to teeter to no. But I have to say is that we do need to make sure that we are absorbent of the cost of the products we are using. Des, your thoughts?
Oh man, it's so much to take in. It's so much. I do love hearing everybody else's thoughts though, because it kind of makes your wheels start turning a little bit and wondering if you do need to adjust the way that you're doing things. So for me personally, I am not seeing as much of a challenge with it because the way that I do my pricing anyhow always has an additional cost for additional product. So I have a base price, and then the way that I charge is if they want to add a toner, which every blonde should be toned, or if they need a color refresh, or if we're doing something a little different, I've always charged for that. So for me, it's just a conversation. Maybe just giving them a couple of options. Like, I know we normally do a full foil and you could totally use it right now, but I know that you're in the same boat as I am. So do you want to do a partial and a root shadow with a tone, and still charging for those additional products? But the way that, yes, if you're doing a partial foil instead of a full foil, you're already not making as much money. However, you're shortening the time of that service, which could allow you to get somebody else in who's going to be paying you for something else too. So for me, I'm not raising my prices. It's going to have to be a conversation about it being an adjusted price for the time being. But I'm not changing my base price or what I do charge for additional product. So I'm not seeing as much of a challenge coming back to it. It's just going to have to be you being comfortable having the conversation with the client and deciding what's best for the both of you, not shorting yourself, but also not asking them to give you something that they don't have either. So I don't know if that really answered your question,
That
but
was excellent.
No, I think your explanation is spot on. I think that you really are relating to what stylists and salon owners are going through. I commend you for that. I think that you did answer that question. And then the other thing that I'm going to leave this as an open forum, so anybody could chime in. Just be respectful of other people when they talk. I want to get people to jump in when they feel that they have a thought that they want to express out. But then the other thing is to take into consideration is this. Yes, we all know that we definitely, we're not going to be double booking. We can't. There's no way we can. We have to limit the people that are sitting in the reception area, if anybody's allowed to sit in there. I'm a little bit on the fence with, having a waiting room in the parking lot. That's kind of, you've made somebody wait in the parking lot all this time, and now when they walk in, you're gonna, bang them with a raised price. We gotta, it's with tinted windows that we have to take care of this. So yes, we are not going to be double booking like we did before, which probably we should have slowly got away from because it was annoying some of our guests. But
I feel like I had that issue. Some people, a lot of my clients enjoy of the one-on-one attention that they get, and sometimes they'd be like, "Yeah, I don't want you to take another person during my service."
Right.
So
But
I was already getting there.
You have to keep in mind too, we won't be double booking, but now the service that we have to catch up with on that individual client is going to be increased. So there's going to be a balance here. Do we all expect that the days we open our doors of our salon, because there's a big controversy, we're going to be swamped, we're going to be busy, we're going to be, yes, we will, but we have to manage our book. But I really don't think that everybody is going to be running like it's Black Friday sale to the salon to get their hair done, because there's still going to be a lot of people that are going to be fearful.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me just chime in for a second. Sorry, Des, but no, it's actually relating to what you said, and also Gerard. For me, one of the key sentences that's come out of this whole session is have the conversation with the guest. And sometimes as stylists, and yeah, I'm a veteran, and I remember it well from many years ago. It's like, oh, I don't know if I should say, or should I tell Mrs. Smith, or, you know, and we are terrible at that, because we're very emotional, and we're like, and I'm listening, everybody's like so delighted that we're going to have the guests back. But the one thing that we have to remember, as much with compassion, is you're running a business. And, you know, you do have to make it work in the end, because the other things will come along. Your utility bills probably won't change, you know, and when you buy inventory, that won't change, you know. So I'm one of the worst offenders. So I really just wanted to jump in there, and thank you for letting me do that. Des, right back to you, and then we'll pass it across.
Yeah, just one thing that I don't know if this will be helpful to anybody, even who's going to watch this later, but one thing that we've decided to do here is we're going to, some people are part-time, some people are full-time. And what we're going to do, and I made this decision as an owner, is even the people who are part-time, I'm going to allow them to work any hours they want to. But what we're going to have to do through this whole thing, we've already made sacrifices, but we're going to have to continue to make sacrifices to make sure we're taking care of things. So I just volunteered and said, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in at 7 a.m. I'm going to start taking those clients who are morning people, and I'm going to do haircuts or colors from 7 a.m. until 2. And so my part-time people who may only work a couple of days a week can still work every day of the week, but maybe only from 2 to 8 or from 4 to 9 or whatever they decide to do, so they can catch up also. So I will be making sacrifices for my people, and I know they'll do the same for each other, but I am not hurting myself in that sense, other than I have to get up earlier and drink more coffee. You know what I'm saying? Like there's changes that we can make that are still going to allow us to be successful and to take care of ourselves. And the other thing I was going to say is, even having the conversation with our clients can be a little bit difficult. However, they're very understanding of where we're coming from also. And when they know that we're taking care of them and saying, here are the options that I have for you to make sure that we get you back to where you want to be and to be able to move forward, you're going to have those clients for the rest of your life. And the clients who are willing to stay with you for you charging more or giving them different options, those are the people you want anyhow. Yeah, so exactly. I think that it's a little bit scary coming back into this, but I also feel like it's going to be a positive change. And it's gonna be okay, but it's gonna be a little bit difficult.
I was gonna say, your guests already, they already know. If you've built real relationships with your guests, they already know you, so they know what, you know, and you know too, they become like your family over the years. You know them, they know you. You know, you should be able to have these conversations with them, and they know what's coming. They know they're not going to be able to just rush in and be like, hey, let me get a quick haircut. It's not going to work like that right off the beginning.
Yeah, good point.
I think it's important to realize, and then we'll hit this last topic, and then we'll kind of summarize this all up a little bit. You know, Brian mentioned it. I think Desiree mentioned it, as well as you, and a few of the other ones. You know, Brian brought up a good point earlier when he said, you know, what we're all talking about is communication. We got to have that conversation. We got to have that communication. But the time's now. Do you have that communication when they're walking in or sitting in your chair? Yeah, you back it up then. But and I know Brian was privy, because I read him a letter. One of my salon coordinators and myself drafted a letter, and it got sent out and got on our social media handles. It got sent out to each guests in an email, and it got text out to them, and it basically told them, you know, hey, you know, it's been a while since we last spoke to you, since all this has happened, and we know that these are daunting times for all of us. We want to give you an update of what is going on and what we are planning to do to make your visit stress-free the next time you come in, and we thank you for your support. And it had a list of what we were actually doing, you know, and asking them to participate in, as far as wearing masks, to spacing out appointments, like Desi said, to open earlier or stay later to service them, because we know that they're going to have to go back to work too. So their time's going to be limited. So if your guests have a pre-warning, but nowhere ever in that list did it say, oh, and by the way, there will be an additional cost for services rendered. Okay? Is it taboo in our industry or is it not taboo? It's not taboo when the timing is right to raise the prices, but the timing has to be right. And the timing may not be right now. Let us all agree to disagree, that we all have to do what we feel that we have to do to suffice and for the benefit of our businesses and our geographic location. But there's a way to absorb that cost, and there's ways to implement it. We will be doing more corrective work. The cost will be absorbed there. You know what I mean? The added cost will be there. Like Brandon said, your guests are coming back. They know they have 2 and 3 inches of regrowth, or 4 inches of regrowth, some of them. You know, you might be even totally changing the palette. They might have been doing highlights all this time and said, hey, you know what? I want to go brunette. You know what I mean? So let's kind of give a roundabout summary, all of us. Give one point of advice that you would give a stylist that's listening to us today on how to approach when they have to come back. What are some of the ways that they could absorb the price or adjust the pricing so that it benefits the guest and their financial situation as well?
Great question, Gerardo. Great.
Go ahead, Amy. Wait a minute,
Oh,
Amy.
hang on, that's on mute. Oh, are you trying to do it as well, Gerard?
No, go ahead, Amy. Amy, I think you got to unmute yourself.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go. There you go.
Okay. I personally think that it is a conversation, and we have been having many conversations with our clients since day one. I mean, we closed down the day before that we had to. So we've had these conversations, and our clients, as all of our clients, not just mine, but yours too, they do know you, they do understand, and they understand that it is a business. They understand without us, the business is what runs it, you know, so they know. We've had these conversations. Is it going to be $20 increase? Absolutely not. But we're going to have to do something small to help with all this. And one of the things that I was going to do is, being that, you know, I was completely booked in March, and now April is almost gone, and then there's going to be May. So I only worked 4 days a week. So now I'm going to go up to probably 6 and do, like, back in March, the original people on my normal hours, and then do like the April people on my days that I don't normally go in, you know, kind of like the rest of them had said, that, you know, just adding on time. But that's going to take a lot out of me, and I feel like I deserve a little bit more for that. You know, you don't go into the doctor's office and have some elective surgery to be done, and then you go, oh wait, why did they charge me for this? You know, we don't know that, but we do have conversations with our clients, and we will tell them this is what it is. And I think it's just going to be like, haircuts are going to go up a few bucks, colors are going to go up a few bucks. You know,
so your basic thing, your advice is have the conversation.
Have a conversation. Yeah.
Have a conversation. You're going to raise prices. Have a conversation about it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Anybody else who wants to give a
Who's next?
advice?
Go around everybody. Who's next? Julie.
So my thing would again be like, have a conversation obviously with your clients, but again, to explain to them that there's going to be more upcharges on their regular services because they are requiring more work. And it's not that hard to just even warn them when you're rescheduling their appointments, just to say, hey, just so you know, I just got the notice that we're closed down now till June. So I've been out since May 21st. So or March 21st. So there's people that are going to have 12, 15 to 18 weeks worth of roots and grow out. And it's going to take more time to do your service. It's going to take more product. It's going to take more time to do your cut and everything. And to just warn them ahead of time that there's going to probably be more charges, and they will understand, and they'll be grateful to get in when they finally can and get fixed back up. Right. But it's not a price increase. It's just extra service charge for the more service that they were going to require. And if they need to do something for less money, give them the option.
So your advice is that it's not a price increase. It's an additional charge that would be normally charged even if there wasn't the COVID-19.
Yes, because it would be.
Cool.
Yeah.
Shay. Shay. I was going to call you Sasha because you have Sasha, you have Shay. This girl, let me tell you something. She's got many different hairstyles and many different names.
Names.
I love her.
Well, I agree completely with Julie and with Amy. Definitely going back into the salon, it's all about the consultation. It's all about having that conversation. What I'm thinking about implementing, especially with our clients, like she said, it's not a price increase. It's just adding on what they normally would have to get. They're just not used to getting those services because they're in the salon consistently.
Right.
So they're just letting them be aware of that's a service that they normally wouldn't have been paying for, but now they have, and doing a virtual consultation before they come in. So that instead of them telling me, hey, I tried to do something to my hair, hope you can fix it when I get in, I'm going to work on doing a virtual consultation with them prior to their appointment, and just kind of seeing exactly what's going on with their hair before they get in the salon, so I can manage my time wisely once they get there, instead of just adding 15-20 minutes just assuming I will have that time, because it might be way worse than what they're describing by the time they get into the chair.
Right.
And with that consultation, it will be a deposit or a fee that will go towards their service once they come in. So they're not paying everything at one time, but they're breaking that down in increments.
You know, Shay, I have to kind of applaud you on that, because, you know, that's something that I think every stylist, and I'm probably going to get lashback from this after we air this, but I feel that that's something that every stylist has forgotten to do, is consult. The consultation area all of a sudden became null and void. And you know what that was from? That was from all the double booking. So when your guest walked in the door, you never really consulted with them again to see how their color lasted, to see how their last haircut was. You just automatically had the assistant or the apprentice bring them back to the shampoo bowl and shampoo them if we didn't shampoo our own guests. But I think that that's a great advice that you're giving people today, is let's go back now and let's have that consultation. How can you price anything if you don't know what you are going to be doing?
Exactly.
Good point. Anyone else?
Brandy.
I think the key thing I'm hearing from everybody that it sounds like we're all in agreement with is that we need to be open and honest with our guests and have these conversations, you know, making sure that even though we know that we're going to have extra costs, we need to make room in our schedules. We need to have extra time, you know, scheduling people accordingly, but also making sure that, okay, so we understand you're struggling as well as I am. Your budget is a little different. So let's work together to find something that works for both of us within the budget that you have. Cool. And having those conversations and giving those options, I think it's going to keep us all on track.
There you go. Good. Excellent. Well, this is good. So, Des. Come on.
Well, I could be totally wrong with this, but I think that clients are actually going to be a little bit appreciative that we're only upcharging them a small amount for additional product, because even though we're all in a situation, a lot of us don't have jobs, a lot of us have been laid off or are working less hours. They also missed 2 appointments, so they weren't spending a couple hundreds of dollars every 6 weeks on their hair. So if they're coming back and you're charging them whatever amount plus $10, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for only charging me $10 more for 16 weeks of grow out. That's kind of where my mind works a little bit. They might actually be appreciative. So obviously my advice would be to have the conversation. We've talked about that a ton, but if I'm going off of that a little bit, my advice would be for you to push your retail a little bit more, because honestly, if you're
They're gonna need
they're going to need it. They're going to need deep condition treatments. They're going to need all those things, which the Moisture Plus lotions, people can be buying those. You know, you're going to be helping them at home. But if you're pushing the retail, don't be a car salesman and things like that. But if you're educating them and allowing them to understand what it is that they need at home and in between these appointments, especially because they haven't had what we give them in the salon for the last 16 weeks, you're going to be making more money, which is also going to allow you to cover the cost of the extra needed things, gloves and masks and all those extra cleaners and barbicide and all that kind of stuff. The product itself is going to help you and your guest, and it's going to help your salon as a whole. So if I'm giving any advice, I would say educate your guests on the retail that they need at home.
Good job. Good. I like
point. So let's close it out with Raina, and then I'll put it back to Gerard to give us a quick review, and then I'll close us out.
So I wanted to say that I agree with Des, that you know, the reason when I was deciding what kind of a career I wanted, I already loved doing hair, but I had read this passage, and I wish I remember where I read it, but it said that during the Depression, women would go, they would eat maybe 3 days a week instead of 7, just to save to have their, you know, hair done, their makeup, or whatever they want. These women are ready, you know, women and men, they're ready to get in there. So definitely my advice would be, have the conversation, but, you know that you're the professional, and know that you have a relationship with your guest. They know what's coming, and they're ready. They've been saving for it. They want to see you as badly as you want to see them. I fully intend for my hands to bleed on a weekly basis once the world opens back up, and I'm very excited to see my guests again. And yeah, so that would be my advice to stylists going back, is you know your people. They're your people.
There you go. Wow. Okay, Gerard. Wow.
Wow. I mean, I think that this conversation was really, really impactful. It was really, really strong. I really appreciated everybody's input on it and the honesty, because some of us consider it a price increase, some of us don't consider it a price increase, and that's fine, and that's okay, and we can consider it whatever we want to consider it. And all of you stylists that are watching this, and salon owners, you can consider it however you want. But I think, to summarize it up with this fantastic panel, they gave some great options and great suggestions: consultations, conversations, retail, professionalism. I think, Renee, you mentioned the word professionalism. And so we need to take this as a profession. You know, we all utilize the word guest. And a guest is somebody that has been invited in, okay? At one point or another, we were all a guest to our guests because we were invited to do their hair. They came to ask us to do their hair, or they were recommended to us to do their hair. So as much as we need our guests need us. And I do agree that, like Rena said, in the Depression, that was one thing that was still striving. And it was the barbershops and the beauty salons, or the hair salons, people getting done. We will get through this together. We are all in this together. We will strive again. Our business will be flourishing just like they were before. Remember one thing we were taught as children, all right? You need to walk before you run. In order to run fast, you need to walk steadily and strong and get the balance. And we will do that like we did when we first opened our businesses. Thank you to each and every one of you who's out there. Whether you're considering on raising your prices or not raising your prices, there are ways to absorb it. I hope that everybody got some good information out of this. Thank you. I applaud you all. And I'm going to pass it right over to Brian to kind of lead us out of this whole Zoom. Good job, everybody.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you,
Thanks,
Gerard.
everyone.
And just before we close out, yeah, I'm just checking everybody was unmuted. I was going around because we'll give ourselves a little round out on the way out. So Gerard, thank you. Great summing up. Yeah, this has been an awesome Zoom episode 8. And, you know, on behalf of Z1 Concept, myself and Gerard, I'd like to thank our panel of guests today, Julie, Raina, Amy, Des, Brandy, and Sasha. Shay. I thought I would throw that double name in there for you. So,
Okay.
yeah, and I know those of you that are watching, you're going to take a lot away from this really quite an emotive subject, dear to all our hearts, but we know we have to deal with it. So, yes, so on behalf of myself and Gerard, till we see you on episode 9, watch out for that. That will be coming soon. Let's ask the team just to give themselves a cheer for doing such a great job, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Well done.
Good job, everybody.
All right. Gerardo.